Hi, everybody. So this talk is not going to be purely done by me. We will switch in the middle, and I will be speaking about technical side of the release because, well, I'm an engineer and I'm working on the technical part with my colleagues. And for the other part, we will have your sport fleet, and he will speak about the marketing and stuff because he can speak and he can write and do crazy stuff and get people's attention. That's what I can't do. So, how actually our release works? Let's start from the beginning. Let's say that we just released new openSUSE. So, what's next? What do we do now? What do we do next? Well, we need to start developing with factory. So we need to unfreeze it, decide on some roadmap. Kulo does that. And start with developing. When we develop everything, we freeze it again, test it, fix it, branch it, fix it some more, and then we release it. Sounds simple, right? So let's get into some more details. Let's start with that factory development. That's what we are doing right now, still. The thing about factory development is it's never-ending story. You always have new versions of packages. There are always people trying to do new stuff, fix something that didn't work, or improve something that already worked, and they are constantly breaking stuff. So factory, as we heard today several times, is constantly changing, constantly breaking, and constantly fixing. So it's really hard to follow, hard to use, but it's a lot of fun. And it's a lot of work to keep it at least a little bit stable so some people can actually use it. Now, how this development process works. Let's say that we've got package foo and there is a new version or new feature that we want to push. So you will create your home project which will contain the package foo and you will do your changes there. You will test it, you will try to use it, you will see whether it works, whether it's fine, and then you need to push it to some develop project. Either you already have a develop project assigned to the package because it was already in the distribution. That would be the case which is more complicated in the end part. If you don't have it yet, you need to find some develop project which kind of corresponds to what package foo is about, and then you submit it via build service, of course. And there are maintainers of that develop project. They will take a look at that package, take a look at how did you package it, and they will give you some review. Either they will gladly accept it because it's fine and they see that you've done everything correctly, or they will tell you, hey, this little thingy, it's not well done, you should do it this way. So this is the first review that you will get, and then package foo is in the develop project here. Now, develop project is not end stop. You obviously want to have it in factory and consequently in the release. So you send it to factory. And then there is another bunch of reviews. Some of them are automatic, some of them are manual. Some people will take a look at your package again and try to see whether there is something wrong with it before it ends up in factory. And then it ends up in the factory. And although you've done everything you could and everybody in the review teams did their best, you overlooked package bar, which depends on package foo and kind of broke because of your new features. So now somebody has to go and take the package bar, branch it, fix it, send it to the develop project again. Some people will review it again and then send it back to factory. And that's how packages flow. And now there is a chance that there is some other package that depends on bar that will get broken, and you go again. And that's how factory lives. So there are a lot of packages that are getting in every day. There are a lot of packages that are getting broken every day. And there are a lot of packages that are getting fixed every day. If you want to help, you can go to the build service, take a look at what's broken, and start fixing it. I think no maintainer would object if you fix his package for him. So that's one easy way how you can start contributing to factory. And yeah, it's easy. If you have free evening, just take some package and fix something. Now, a little bit about the reviews that are done when you are checking package into factory. We've got some factory auto, which checks just roughly whether automatically whether downlink links are okay, RPM lint warnings and stuff like that. We've got legal auto, which automatically checks the packages that were already in factory and checks whether there is something suspicious changed and might need a legal review. Maybe some package embedded some. Okay, we've got UFO. Aliens are here. Okay. I'm getting hungry. Okay. We will go to the bar and order food. Okay. Back to the reviews. Legal auto checks package whether there is something that might need a legal review. If it needs, it will trigger legal team that will review it manually. Sometimes package embed other libraries and licenses change a little bit. Somebody makes typos in licenses and stuff like that. Our lawyers have to take care of that. Then there is an openSUSE review team. openSUSE review team is actually a bunch of people that are taking a look at your packages manually. They are reading them, and they are deciding whether they are good, and they are trying to spot things that factory auto or other automatic checks didn't spot. And they can obviously understand what's going on. And there is also factory repo checker, which is another automatic script. And this one does more deep testing. It checks, it checks whether it builds and whether it is buildable in factory, but it also checks whether it is installable in the factory, whether you can actually install the resulting package, and whether there are some file configs with packages that are already in. You might see some errors in your submissions. I think it was implemented not so long ago, well, maybe half a year or something. And yeah, we are trying to prevent two packages providing the same files, so things would broke again. And this thing is triggered by factory auto by when these basic checks are processed, and if package passes these basic checks, it goes to the deeper checks, and if it passes even through here, it will get to the queue for the manual review team that will take for the humans to take a look at it. So let's say that we finished developing our openSUSE and now it's time to do feature freeze. What are the feature freezes and why are they there? As I said, factory is breaking all the time. And it's a good thing, it's a fun, but at some point we want to release something stable. So we need to stop breaking stuff. And that's called feature freeze. We stop breaking stuff and concentrate only on fixing stuff that is already broken. Feature freeze is divided into multiple phases. We start with toolchain freeze, which freezes some really basic core stuff like autoconf, automake, GCC, and stuff that we need to build actually the factory or distribution, because this stuff can break a lot. When we freeze this stuff, that happened yesterday or something, if I count correctly the date, then we still have some time to push your changes. So if you haven't done so yet, you still can. And we will have base system freeze, where kernel, KDE, GNOME, X11, and stuff like that will get frozen. Because, yeah, there's quite a bunch of packages that depend on them as well. So, yeah, we need to freeze them, and some leaf packages still might get some updates because they are not going to break too much. And yeah, we've got full feature freeze. From that point onwards, no fixes, no updates, no breaking stuff, only fixes. And there are, of course, some little exceptions. If you can convince people that your update actually fixes more than it can break, but it's hard if you want to try convince Kulo that your stuff is really that important that it should go in even after feature freeze. You would have to have good reasoning behind that. And at some point, we will branch our factory and we will create openSUSE 13.1. And then factory and released openSUSE will start to diverge. Factory will get unfrozen. We can start breaking it again. And updates in factory will not affect the distribution that we are trying to release. And updates are not going to get, well, unless it is really important, it's not going to get to the distribution itself, but directly to the update repo. So when we actually release new openSUSE, there are usually a few packages already waiting for you to update. So directly after installing openSUSE, you can try updating it to fix some more stuff. Now, the important part of whole process is testing. There are too many combinations of stuff to test. So we obviously can't test everything thoroughly. There are various architectures, there are various installation media, there are various installation options, and there are a lot of daily builds of factory. We've got milestones, we've got betas, we've got RCs. So there's a lot of things to test. What do we do? Well, one thing is OpenQA. OpenQA is a great thing because we don't need that many people. Well, we can always use many people, but OpenQA does a lot of stuff automatically, so okay. So we can spot what's breaking, but because it's automatic, still somebody needs to verify it, needs to check whether it is actually a bug in OpenQA or whether it is bug in actual factory. When it's verified, it needs to be reported via Bugzilla. And we've got manual testing for some stuff because, yeah, UEFI we can emulate, but we need to check that it actually is implemented in hardware the same way as in QEMU, and some hardware we need to check manually. So, how it works? From OBS we get some release. OpenQA will test it, or people will test it, and then somebody has to take a look at OpenQA results. That's actually another nice thing that you can do if you have spare evening. Go to the OpenQA, take a look at what's failing, and figure out what went wrong, and try to reproduce it. And if it's reproducible, if it's really bug in factory or milestone or beta or whatever, report it to Bugzilla, and somebody will fix it and send it back to OBS. Next thing, when we tested and fixed everything, we need to select the gold master. That's one of the automatic builds that is good enough. Doesn't have any really critical stuff that we cannot fix afterwards via updates. It's installable. That's really important to be able to install it. And well, everything else can be fixed afterward. But we are trying to get it good as well. And yeah, Goldmaster is our next release. We update web pages, and yeah, track how people like the release. And I believe that's it. You heard about how do we track what's going on after we release the Goldmaster from Alberto in this morning. And now I hand over to Jos to do something about marketing.
Okay, come on, clap for him. Okay, okay, you switched. Okay, because you couldn't get it to work on my laptop, or
yeah.
Okay. Should I think remove your laptop? Yeah. Let's talk about release marketing now. Well, I'm going to start with what we do. So the release marketing, I think, has two important parts. It's a lot of work. There's of course preparation for the release, and most of that we do in the 2 months before the release. And you should think about, the release counters, badges, posters, and things that we put up on the web to tell people about what's coming, to excite them, to allow them to put things, for example, on their website, Twitter backgrounds, things like that. It's really about building up a little bit of excitement. Part of it is also the sneak peeks that we write. So we write articles where people can see some highlights of the features that are coming in the next release. Now, that's a preparation. And the other side of it is, of course, the marketing of the release itself. We write a feature guide, and we take from the feature guide the highlights, we create screenshots, we write the announcement for the website, for the mailing lists, for the press release. We put all of that together with a list of people to be interviewed and some interesting quotes, and we send that to the press about a week before the release with the Goldmaster, so that the press can test it, play with it, look at the release notes, look at the announcements, and prepare articles that can then be released on the same day. So that way, that's why we get 10, 20 reviews on the day of the release. We send them to staff in advance. Now, that is all a lot of work, and the thing that you need to understand is that it all begins with features. That's where it all comes from. The developers give us a list of features, at least that's what we need from them. And we use that first to make a feature guide, which is an extensive overview of everything that's new in the release. And then from the feature guide, well, we put the feature guide on the website, we put it in the press kit, and we use it to pick out the top 10, top 11, 12, roughly, product highlights, the most important features, the most important changes in the new openSUSE release. And out of the product highlights, we can write the announcement, or the 3 announcements that we have, and we put it on the website, and we also use that for the social media messages that we send out on the release day. So, but it all starts with the features. Now, from developers, we need those features. We need to know what the major changes are that are coming in openSUSE. And I want to stress this because developers often say, look, I'm not a marketing guy, I don't need to write. No, you don't. But you do need to tell us what is coming and how big it is. So how big the changes are and what they are. The thing to understand is you don't need to figure out where all the other features are and how it fits with your feature. You just need to tell us how big the feature is for you. So if you're the maintainer of, let's say, PostgreSQL, and there's a new version of this, then you need to tell us how big a deal this is for users of Postgres. You don't need to look at other databases, you don't need to look at KD and GNOME, you just need to say, okay, this release, well, it's mostly a bug fix release. Okay, that's what we need to know. Maybe that is significant because the database is really important in this release, or maybe it's not important. Yeah? The thing is, we will look at a big picture, and we will see, all the features that are new as reported by the developers, and then we can see how important a specific feature is. So again, from a developer, we don't need this. We just need you to tell us how important it is for you and your users. And the other side of it is, we just need to know the changes. You don't need to write a whole fancy text. You just need to give us some bullet points that say, look, these are the major changes. This is where it matters, and what would be really nice is if you can give us a link where we can either point people to or find some more information ourselves. So we can write a little bit of background, half a paragraph or even a little more, a little less, depending on how important we think the feature is. What you need to keep in mind here, by the way, is we need the changes between releases. Yeah? If you tell us what's new in systemd 146, that's really useful, but we also want to know what's new in the 10 releases before, because systemd does a new release every, I don't know, couple of weeks or months. It goes really quick. So for example, for the kernel, in 12.2 and 12.3, we need to know what's new from 3.4 to 3.7. So we need to know what's new in 3.5, 3.6, and 3.7, not just 3.7. So as a developer, you need to not just tell us what's new in the latest bug fix release. We need to tell us what is new since the previous openSUSE release. And then we're happy. We will make it all pretty and make a nice text, and we'll do the part with the funny pictures. The place where you can dump the stuff is here. So it's on our wiki, it says major features, and that's just where you put the bullet list of what is new and links for where we can find more stuff. That's all we need from you. And again, remember how it is important for your users. We will do the marketing side of things. I'll give a second to read it. So let me try to give you a little taste of the work that we do with those features and all the other things that happen. We start by building on that list and the features. So we take the features and then we're going to look on the websites of GNOME and KDE and Linux kernel newbies and everything. We try to collect all the information that we're missing, because often the list of features that we get does not contain everything. It's something I would love to change, but that's something I need the help of our developers for. So we look all over the web, see what is new in our release, gather all the information, and then a whole bunch of us works on an Etherpad usually to try and get all the text in and, well, make it moderately pretty. Once we have a reasonably good text, we move it to the wiki. We start to add screenshots, and of course we work on it more to make it look good and have it, you know, categorized and in good groupings, etc., etc. Once we are done with that, we can move on and we can take the draft on the wiki and start to look what are the most important things here. So this is where we find the highlights. Yes, Kostas, I'm using your picture a lot, as you can see. Kostas took the picture, it was modified a bit. Anyway, and once we have these highlights, this is where you get the work. You start to work on the announcement. This is really difficult. Most of the text before, the writing on the Etherpad and the draft on the wiki and the final text on the wiki, even picking the highlights is stuff where you don't need a lot of technical knowledge and you don't have to be a super great writer. Okay, anyone can help in those stages. This part, we usually even get help from SUSE corporate marketing to help us write, because an announcement is something that needs to follow a strict pattern, because journalists are very, well, let me say, time-constrained people. So they only look at the first 10 words in an announcement, and if they're not good, they will not read the rest of it. So this is where you really need to have a lot of iterations. You make a first draft, people look at it, you have to rewrite it completely. People look at the rewrite, they say it's crap, you rewrite it again. At some point you can start to just improve it and you get a text. This is a lot of work, and usually it's not the part that's my most favorite, because you have to start over again every time. But you'll get at some point to an announcement, which you can then use on news at openSUSE.org, where we write the community announcement, which is a lot more fun to write, because, you know, you were actually willing to read it. And of course we create an email for the project mailing list and the factory mailing list and other places. Now, the timeline of all of this is actually very tight. Okay, this has to happen in a matter of 7 or 8 weeks, all of this, and it's a lot of work. So for us it's really, really, really important to have all those features in time. So again, I ask all our developers, please try to put those on the wiki. It is a huge help for us, because looking all over the internet for what has changed in the package, it's a lot harder than just having a list of bullet points and perhaps a link. So that helps us a lot. Of course, some of the things can happen in parallel, but what happened, especially in the past years, is that, you know, we don't have enough time to find all those features in time. We don't have time to write the sneak previews. And of course, the sneak previews are really nice, because they give people an idea of what's coming. Help specifically with the sneak previews is very much appreciated, by the way. I'd really like to point out, you know, any help is welcome, and here's my mandatory kitten picture of the day. If you're interested in helping out with this at any stage, talk to me. You can just look me up, because I happen to walk around here frequently. And of course send me an email as well. That's it. Are there any questions? Yes.
Thank you for the presentation. I have 2 questions. If you already mentioned, but I missed, please forgive me. The first question is about where we should bring up the features. I'm not pointing to the major features, but all the features.
Actually, that wiki page called major features, that's where you should dump all the features. Here, so all the features from as a developer, obviously you don't have to look at any minor bug fix, but especially the things that for you as maintainer of a package are a big deal, they need to be on here.
Okay.
And then we will look again at the big picture and see where it fits in. But if you think as a packager for whatever it is, and you say, look, this is big, our users need to know about this, then that's where you put it. And then we will make sure that it gets mentioned in the feature guide.
Okay.
Okay.
The second question is about testing, and besides OpenQA, I'm not sure if we have some manual testing, since some open source project, they have some manual testing, and they create test run and list all the test case. And for the community guys, they easy to find the idle test from this kind of test run and pick up some of them.
Tasks.
Then it is easy for the release to see how many tests we already performed and where we are. I'm not sure if we have.
I'll let this answer by our technical guy.
Okay, so as far as I know, we don't have a list of tests to do by community. We are pointing people basically to OpenQA and to take a look at failing tests there, but people tend to do their manual testing of their own, unorganized. They will just download RCs, try to use it for a while, and report whatever they found. And internally, at least in our team, last release, we took out a lot of use cases that we wanted to make sure that works, and tried them manually, like secure boot, which was really important. We tried it several times on different computers, binary drivers, and stuff like that. And we use it as well. So a lot of manual testing is done basically by users using it. But I agree that having some plan or something would be useful. But yeah, we need a bigger openSUSE community testing team and organizing itself somehow.
Yeah, in the long run, if we have kind of this test run, it will be helpful.
I believe there is an internal tool for this. We thought about, what was the name of that? Yeah, Testopia. So we thought about trying to use that, but it is honestly so...
No, you can try to use...
It's not very useful for that.
Yeah, you can try the Mousetrap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I would like to know how you choose which release of the software stable you allow the to be published. Like you, before I was a system administrator, I was not using openSUSE but other like distributions, and my major problem was we had some bugs or like security issues, and the official package was always quite late in the release. So it was, not easy to manage in a good way the system.
So your question is, how do we decide which version of the package we will ship within the release, or
updated,
or update? Well, it's part of it is on the maintainer. If we are going to, you have to make it into release in time before the feature freeze, or you have to have good arguments for updating it afterwards. And if it gets before the feature freeze, it's there, and maintainer of the package decides what's stable enough or good enough in his respect. After releasing stuff, we don't break things. So there are possibilities to update stuff. We are doing minor version updates for several software like LibreOffice. We are doing it for MySQL because these minor updates are not bringing any new features, They are not breaking existing stuff. They are just fixing errors and security issues. So that's what we can do. But yeah, it depends case on case. But what we are not going to do is do big update of GCC or something like that, because that will break a lot of stuff, and we are not going to do that in released product. Any other questions?
Okay, that's it then.